What you can expect in this book. In this book, you will learn about relaxation and its counterpart, tension or stress. These terms are on everyone's lips today, but often we don't even know what we are really talking about or complaining about, and what can get us out of our, often unconsciously and self-created, stressful situations and help us in the long run to a relaxed and easygoing everyday life. In order to really consciously go into a so-called relaxation, it is very important to first of all really understand what in our body there is actually overstressed, stressed, and under pressure, so what should be relaxed at all. In this book, you will not find a plan of action or a step-by-step plan that you have to work through, because working through plans is not what creates or constitutes relaxation. In this book, you will first learn about something about the effects of stress on your body and your mind, so that you can then specifically examine and get to know your own life with regard to your own sources of stress and suitable relaxation techniques. There are already many relaxation methods and techniques, some of which target quite different points of the body and mind, but all of which can put us in a relaxed, light, and pleasant state of well-being. Some of these different methods are briefly introduced in this book in their respective mode of action, and you will directly receive practical tips and exercise instructions that you can implement immediately. I recommend that you simply try out the various techniques once directly on your own or more intensely in an appropriate group at your location or online, and then you will feel for yourself best which methods appeal to you and also do you good in the long term. I invite you, embark on your own personal journey to relaxation and let your own personal sense of well-being guide you above all. This book would like to give you the necessary incentives and support. Why learn relaxation? In this day and age, relaxation has become a kind of luxury for many people, something that no longer just happens as a matter of course. Instead, it has become a state that has to be brought about deliberately and with more or less effort, consciously. That's why many people answer the question of what they most want on their vacation, for example, with the statement, "I just want to really relax," or "I just want to rest. I need to really recuperate, unwind, let my soul dangle," and much more. So people hardly seem to have the necessary time or even the necessary peace in their everyday life to live a relaxation as a normal part of their everyday life. Much more, the relaxation is to be shifted to the time outside the everyday life. And there are plenty of offers for this, which the person in need of relaxation can then fall back on, such as wellness hotels, relaxation courses, massages, walks in the woods, sauna, and much more. You have also driven by the desire to relax. Now, taking this booklet in hand, as you probably already know, you can carry out your own personal relaxation completely independently with the help of a few basic knowledge and methods, yourself and flexibly, anytime and anywhere. What is relaxation? Even the word relax gives a clear indication of what relaxation actually is exactly, namely an ENT tension, to ENT tension again something that is tense or even often over-tense, such as to take the existing tension out of something and to create or reproduce a kind of looseness or softness. What exactly is stretched there? For this, we have to take a look at the opposite pole of relaxation, and that is the so-called tension, or also called stress. We have all heard this word, stress, many, many times in our lives, mostly already in our childhood from our parents. We all hear and use it very often, but very few of us are really aware of what stress actually means exactly, where it comes from, what exactly it does in and with our body. However, from my point of view, exactly these questions are very important in order to then also consciously deal with the treatment of stress, such as relaxation, and to use it for oneself in a beneficial way. What is stress exactly? The actually still quite young word stress, which was almost unknown in German usage until the 1970s, is a takeover from English and means pressure and tension. The Latin root of the word Stringere means to trim, to bring into a certain state through repeated efforts, or to tense. So we tense something in us excessively, which we then, of course, also want to relax again at some point. Why do we actually do this? The human body is designed to protect us from danger as best it can, so as soon as we sense danger, our body automatically switches to survival mode, which triggers our perceived stress. Thus, the Federal Health Reporting defines stress as a state of alertness of the organism which adjusts to an increased readiness to perform. In the explanations of the Federal Center for Health Education, stress reactions are named as stereotypical activation patterns running in the body, which are supposed to provide an optimum of energy for immediate fight and flight reactions. So our body reacts to something it encounters with a kind of automatic response and adapts to a situation. The things we react to with stress are stimuli and can be roughly divided into two groups: the physical stimuli, such as sounds, temperature, and the psychological stimuli, such as time pressure, disagreements. How exactly the various stimuli affect each individual and have a physical impact depends very much on the so-called personal stress amplifiers and one's own strategies for coping with stress. For everyone, it is true that these stimuli put the human body in a heightened state of alertness and readiness to flee, which ensures the activation of the sympathetic nervous system and thus stimulation of the adrenal glands, which then release the so-called stress hormones cortisol, adrenaline, and noradrenaline. The sympathetic nervous system is part of the human autonomic nervous system, which, together with its counterpart, the parasympathetic nervous system, acts unconsciously and completely automatically on our body. Both systems, the so-called sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems, act together on our organs from their origin in the human brain via our nerve pathways that run through our body. The sympathetic nervous system is responsible for setting our body up for performance and provides all the energy for activity. In contrast, the parasympathetic nervous system takes care of regeneration and the buildup of new power reserves. The so-called rest and recovery nerve, the vagus nerve, which is currently also on everyone's lips under the name self-healing nerve, is also a part of the parasympathetic nervous system. It is even the main component and the longest of our 12 cranial nerves. It runs from the brainstem in the head through the neck and chest to the abdominal cavity. Via branches on its way through our body, it is connected to many important organs such as the heart, kidneys, liver, spleen, and digestive organs. Due to its enormous importance for human well-being, the vagus nerve is the subject of numerous research projects and is also used in classical medicine specifically to alleviate depression, for example. Because, although in the best case it has a completely automatic balancing effect on our organism, it can also be specifically activated and thus contribute to the self-healing of the body. Depending on the situation in which we find ourselves, either the sympathetic or the parasympathetic nervous system takes over, and physical reactions are set in motion in conjunction with hormone release. When the sympathetic nervous system is activated, such as in so-called stressful situations, there is accelerated breathing, tensing of the muscles, an accelerated heartbeat, dilation of the pupils, and a slowing down of digestive activity. The body is thus switched completely automatically to danger and flight. This had its justified meaning with our ancestors who got into a truly life-threatening situation every now and then. It was of inestimable value for the people at that time that they, as soon as their system was confronted with the information danger, were physically able to fully perceive the dangerous situation in the so-called tunnel vision, to have the physical and muscular strength available for the escape, and to be able to put any digestive activities on the back burner for the next time of the pending escape and defense against danger. If the escape or defense was successful, the man at that time could weigh himself again in security and the body resumed its usual functionalities. So it is more than well meant by our body to put us into stress when we are supposedly in danger, which for the primitive man in us is often synonymous with danger to life. In my opinion, this insight into the well-intentional help of our body helps us to be grateful to our body and to recognize how well it actually means it with us. Stress is often demonized and labeled as unwanted and annoying, as something to be gotten rid of as quickly as possible. And we all know that exactly what we don't want to have usually seems to stick to us the most stubbornly. If the symptoms of stress persist in modern people, as is unfortunately usually the case, over a longer period of time without the necessary relaxation phases, such as an activation of the parasympathetic nervous system, it can lead to chronic physical and mental symptoms of stress, such as the widespread high blood pressure, which in turn increases the risk of suffering a heart attack or stroke. The extent and physical effects of stress are individual and depend above all on one's own competencies in dealing with stimuli that can cause stress, and these competencies can be learned and developed by everyone at any time. Before this book presents the most important relaxation techniques in more detail, it is important for you to take a look at yourself and examine which stress or relaxation type you actually are. With the help of a few key questions, you can get to know yourself and take a closer look at yourself in terms of stress and relaxation. Own relaxation profile. We humans are all different. We are not only proven to be genetically all different, but have also gone through a very individual development since our birth. As already mentioned above, it varies from person to person how we deal with the stimuli surrounding us and which so-called stressors, such as stress triggers, lead to which reactions in us. In addition, it is always a matter of the day whether we react to an external situation in a stressed or relaxed manner. Why we react and act differently in the respective situations is in turn also related to our reaction to the stimuli, which is based on our very own background. We learn certain reactions, so to speak, which can then also be read quite tangibly in our brain over the course of time if we had it examined for this. The brain can quickly and completely recover from short periods of stress. Long-lasting stress, on the other hand, has massive negative consequences on the condition of our brain. It unbalances our neuronal network and thus leads to permanent changes in the brain structure. One part of the brain, the amygdala, becomes larger due to a permanent stress load. The amygdala is the so-called fear center of our brain and is normally activated immediately as soon as our brain classifies a situation as potentially dangerous for us. During prolonged stress, certain cells in the amygdala proliferate more and the connections to other regions in the brain become stronger, which in turn leads to the amygdala being overstimulated even faster. Our brain thus calls up the information fear and stress more and more often, which leads to the negative consequences for our entire organism already described. The good news is that our brain has been proven to constantly develop over the course of our lives, so it is not finished at one point in time and can no longer be changed. The key word neuronoplasticity or neuroplasticity refers to the brain's ability to constantly adapt due to different usage and stimulation. So, our nervous system is literally plastic and can respond to internal and external stimuli insofar as it reorganizes its structure, connections, and functions. As a result, our brains remain flexible throughout our lives and we are always able to readjust to our environment and learn new skills, which in turn are reflected in our physical reality, starting with our brain structures. Relaxation has a very important influence on the functioning of our nervous system and the regeneration of our brain are learnable. And it has been proven that people learn best when they like the content. In order to find the right relaxation method for you, with which you can sustainably change your nervous system and thus your entire body in the direction of a healthy balance between tension and relaxation, it is important that you first become aware of the areas of your everyday life in which your personal sources of stress are lurking. Identify your own sources of stress. In the following, you will find a few targeted questions, the answers to which will help you to determine and classify your own stress level. The following questions are not an objective or even standardized stress test, because the topic of stress is one of the most subjective and best assessed by yourself. However, the following questions are intended to support you in reflecting on yourself in a structured way and to get to the bottom of your personal sources of stress. You are welcome to add your own individual areas to the existing questions or simply delete questions that are completely unsuitable for you. Recognizing your own stress level helps you to become more aware of how you feel and thus of yourself, which brings us to a relaxation technique that will be presented later, namely mindfulness. But more on that later. Awareness and the conscious perception of what is there in the first place is a very important prerequisite for stress management, and thus also for relaxation. Only that which is also seen and perceived by you yourself can be specifically treated by you at all. The saying that we have certainly all heard in the course of our lives, "Insight is the first step to improvement," has a true core, because if you want to act on something specifically, it is important to know this something. The answers to the following questions are intended to serve as a very personal indication of the level and main areas of your current stress levels. You can answer these questions for yourself in your own way, but I recommend answering the individual questions in writing, also so that you have a document in hand for possible later comparison values. Exercise. Identify your personal stress level. Answer the following 19 questions for the period of the last 3 to 4 weeks using the following grading scale: never, very rare, now and then, often, very often, almost always. Question 1. I felt tired and exhausted. Never, very rare, now and then, often, very often, almost always. Question 2. I have felt listless. Never, very rare, now and then, often, very often, almost always. Question 3. I could not put my mind at rest. Never, very rare, now and then, often, very often, almost always. Question 4. I was tense and really under power. Never, very rare, now and then, often, very often, almost always. Question 5. I was nervous. Never, very rare, now and then, often, very often, almost always. Question 6. I had a hard time concentrating. Never, very rare, now and then, often, very often, almost always. Question 7. I had a hard time deciding. Never, very rare, now and then, often, very often, almost always. Question 8. I found new things very exhausting. Never, very rare, now and then, often, very often, almost always. Question 9. I felt like I was running out of time. Never, very rare, now and then, often, very often, almost always. Question 10. I reacted irritably. Never, very rare, now and then, often, very often, almost always. Question 11. I was sad and frustrated. Never, very rare, now and then, often, very often, almost always. Question 12. I was worried about the future. Never, very rare, now and then, often, very often, almost always. Question 13. I have been afraid of failing at certain tasks. Never, very rare, now and then, often, very often, almost always. Question 14. I had on-sleep problems. Never, very rare, now and then, often, very often, almost always. Question 15. I felt I had no time for myself. Never, very rare, now and then, often, very often, almost always. Question 16. I did not feel taken seriously and valued. Never, very rare, now and then, often, very often, almost always. Question 17. I have had conflicts with other people around me. Never, very rare, now and then, often, very often, almost always. Question 18. I felt uncomfortable in my environment. Never, very rare, now and then, often, very often, almost always. Question 19. I had the feeling of being rejected. Never, very rare, now and then, often, very often, almost always. Especially for the questions that you answered with often, very often, or almost always, it is worth taking a closer look after answering the questions because these areas are mainly responsible for your personal stress load. In a next step, you can now answer these questions even further with the following sub-questions. A. What specific situations can I remember? B. How did I react specifically in the situation? C. What physical reactions did I notice in my body, rigidity, racing heart, sweating, etc.? D. What would I have needed in that situation to make me feel better? For these sub-questions of your personal top areas, feel free to write down as specifically as possible the situations and the details that you can remember. As you write, allow for the feelings that may arise. Now it is not about changing the situations or even the feelings you have experienced. The only thing that matters here is that you can form as clear a picture as possible of your current situation and thereby accept your actual state that has been made visible in this way. Try to approach yourself with a curious attitude, pay attention, and interest to yourself. After answering all these questions, you probably now have an increased awareness of your current stress perception, your so-called killer situations, your most common physical stress reactions, and ideally also of your still missing resources to better manage your personal stress situations. This awareness and clarity will now help you on the following path to master your own personal stress killers, to let go of ingrained stress reactions, and with the help of a relaxation method suitable for you, to find more and more physical and mental relaxation. You can answer these questions again and again at regular intervals. In this way, you can constantly see the overall length at which you are right now and notice any improvements or deteriorations that occur. Also, with regard to practice relaxation techniques, and in the best case, integrate them directly into your personal path towards more relaxation. Just try it out. You will definitely notice how something changes in yourself and also around you as a result. Find suitable relaxation techniques. So, how do you find a suitable technique to relieve your personal stress, which you have now gotten to the bottom of to the point where you know where it primarily arises and what it does to you? Various targeted relaxation techniques are used at different points to activate your parasympathetic nervous system, to reduce the effects of stress on your body and organism, and to provide you or your body with the necessary regeneration. A prejudice is still that relaxation comes simply by doing nothing, which may well happen for some people in certain situations. However, it is not a rule because even when doing nothing, our body can continue to linger in stress mode, our thoughts can race, sometimes even just then, and we can persist in mental alert. And this at a time when we could actually be purposefully relaxing. The multitude of promising relaxation techniques can again trigger stress for one or the other, especially when something is tried that does not suit one at the moment or is not at all suitable in the current situation to relieve the existing tension. This may even lead to pressure or frustration on the part of the practitioner. The well-known division of us humans into the three large groups: visual, acoustic, kinesthetic, shows how differently effective different approaches to relaxation methods can be, depending on the type or situation. The visual type, for example, can relax very well with inner images or also create a relaxing atmosphere for itself through the targeted use of certain colors in its physical environment, which has a direct physically relaxing effect. On the other hand, the acoustic type is more likely to find relaxation through, for example, sounds of nature or relaxing sounds, while the kinesthetic type, such as the type of person who experiences his environment most intensely by feeling and touching it, can bring about relaxation primarily through physical methods in which he goes directly into contact with his body. Mostly we are, also depending on the respective form of the day, as so often in life, a mixture of all the different stereotypes. Nevertheless, the classification often helps us to better understand why you will not feel any relaxation at all with some relaxation methods, or why you feel very strongly attracted to very specific methods. You should always investigate this feeling because your subconscious usually knows very well what is particularly effective for you. I invite you to simply try out the relaxation methods presented below and feel exactly how the individual methods affect you in the short term, in the specific relaxation situation, and also in the long term in the further course of your everyday life. It is highly recommended, as already mentioned, to answer the above described questions about your stress profile again every few weeks. This way, you create awareness and mindfulness for your personal stress and relaxation experience, and also have an overview of the effect on your stress perception with regard to practiced relaxation methods. A methods selection. The different methods and techniques presented in the following overlap in many areas and cannot be strictly distinguished from each other in many parts. This is also not intentional. Nevertheless, it is advantageous for our understanding to imagine these methods theoretically as a kind of toolbox from which we can help ourselves as needed. To do this, it is helpful to first get to know the existing tools, to categorize them, and to theoretically distinguish them from one another in order to make the mechanisms behind them clearer to us. However, whether a breathing exercise is more like meditation or mindfulness training for you is not at all important for the effect you achieve. Likewise, different combinations of the various methods and exercises are conceivable and useful. Be inspired by the different methods, descriptions, and instructions presented below and try out what appeals to you. If you would like to get more information on the respective relaxation techniques, I recommend that you specifically reach here for special literature on the relaxation method you have chosen and go as deeply as you like into the techniques and associated topics through self-study or online course offerings. Important basic postures for relaxation. Before we now turn to the various concrete methods, it is important to mention a few basic things or basic attitudes that are always very helpful on the way to relaxation, regardless of a specific method. In order to be able to truly relax, you must first give yourself permission to relax as well, so to speak. With regard to the various relaxation techniques, this means above all to approach them in a completely relaxed manner. The terms non-grasping, non-identifying, acceptance, and letting go describe a basic attitude that can help you to deal calmly with what is happening, not only when applying the relaxation techniques, but also in your everyday life. The non-grasping here means an active non-doing, such as not striving for a very specific goal that you may even have thought up yourself, such as expecting relief from a certain symptom, possibly even in a certain period of time. The practice of non-grasping is essentially accepting yourself, whether in a specific exercise or even in any everyday situation, as you are now. In this present moment, instead of optimizing or wanting to be different, non-grasping consists of simply being. Similarly, non-identifying means becoming aware of how strongly we identify, at least temporarily, with feelings, ideas, or certain conditions such as specific symptoms or illnesses. These can be both positive and negative things, such as, I'm impatient, I'm depressed, I'm always uncomfortable around people, I'm not a good mother, I'll never make it, or even, I'm just this way. These statements then inextricably link us to specific states for ourselves, making it difficult for us to allow or even notice other things that would be contrary. In truth, however, nothing is of absolute duration, so it actually makes much more sense, especially for a relaxed basic attitude in our entire life, if we do not fix ourselves in our thinking and our language. But to open ourselves to actual life and keep ourselves open, acceptance means the unconditional acceptance of the givens in the here and now, the positive as well as the circumstances that we evaluate as negative. We humans usually find it difficult to accept the unpleasant. We usually try to turn it away from us, or if we do not succeed in doing so, not to admit the negative feelings associated with it, but to suppress them, to cover them up, or to distract ourselves from them as quickly as possible and to occupy ourselves with something more pleasant for us. However, it is also very common to even have difficulty accepting positive things such as praise or success unconditionally with a really good feeling. How quickly we usually also reject these feelings from us, for example, by downplaying our share in the success or by dealing directly with a new task or even a new problem. Accepting and being able to accept is accordingly also a conscious learning task, which can also be afflicted with strong resistance in the case of many things. Letting go can be very helpful in this way, by which is meant non-attachment or non-rejection. However, letting go is one of the most difficult tasks for most of us, and the request, just let go, alone usually does not lead to a really satisfying result, because despite the usually strong desire to no longer want something, to just let it go, it is simply not possible to get rid of this thing, be it feelings, circumstances, people, relationships, fears, pain, or even diseases. The path to letting go is not a straight path, so to speak, but leads to the goal via a detour, namely via the acceptance of a given situation as it is at the moment. This paradox is a challenge for us thinking people because it looks like a trap for us at first sight. That which we just don't want to have anymore, we just mostly do not want to accept. Therefore, it is also very difficult to describe a concrete instruction for letting go, since it is something passive rather than active, rather a mindful contemplation, gentle acceptance, and soft letting go of the given. Quote, "Do not chain yourselves like slaves to beauty, but do not chain yourselves to suffering either. Everything is in flux, both pass away." End quote. Buddha. With these basic attitudes in mind, we now turn to the various relaxation techniques. Conscious breathing. The word breathing comes from Indian philosophy and the term Atman, used there, which comes from Sanskrit. Sanskrit is also called the original language of mother of all languages. Latin, from which the Romance languages come, is itself derived from Sanskrit. Atman translated means breath of life and refers to the absolute self or also the indestructible eternal essence. With the first breath, we come into this world. With the last breath, we leave it again. There is no human life without breathing. In our breath lies our key to more vitality and balance. Breath supplies our body with oxygen, which is vital for us and which our body needs as fuel for all processes. The better the supply of oxygen in our body functions, the better our organism, with its organs, can fulfill its tasks. Correct, conscious breathing can release tensions and help you to fill up with new life energy. A huge advantage of the method of relaxation via conscious breathing is that it can be applied almost anywhere and at any time because the most important tool, your breath, you always have with you. In a first rough classification, breathing can be divided into abdominal breathing and thoracic breathing. In the following exercise, we will take a closer look at the different breathing areas. On the one hand, this exercise helps you to become more aware of your breathing flow in the different areas of the body where you breathe. On the other hand, the deep and conscious breathing already has an effective relaxation effect on your organism. Exercise. Feel different breathing spaces. Stand up straight. Take one deep breath in and out. You are also welcome to do this exercise lying down on your back with your legs stretched out. Now, take another conscious deep breath and place your hands on your belly, your right hand flat with the palm facing down below your belly button, and your left hand with the palm facing down above your belly button. Place your palms very loosely on the top of your belly and start by consciously feeling your belly and your hands resting on your belly. Now begin to direct your attention to your breath and consciously feel how your abdominal wall moves with the breaths. When you inhale, the abdominal wall gently rises, and when you exhale, it lowers again. Feel into this breathing movement very consciously. You can also imagine the inhalation and exhalation as a wave movement. It is important that you remain in an observer role when observing the breath and let the breathing movements happen by themselves. You do not strain with the breathing and do not intervene. Now, continue to breathe loosely and relaxed for a few more breaths. After a few quiet breaths in this way, now change the position of the hands and place them on your flanks, with the right palm resting on the right lower rib cage and the left palm resting on the left lower rib cage. Do not apply pressure with your hands and observe your breath. You will probably notice your breath flowing into your flanks all by itself and feel your ribs slightly stretching apart on the inhale and sinking back inward with the exhale. Take your time and feel what is happening without effort here as well. Your only task in this exercise is to stay with your attention very loosely on your breathing and feel what is happening as an observer of your breath. In a third step, now place your hands on your upper chest area. Again, place your palms loosely over your chest. Place your right hand over your right chest with your fingers pointing upward so that they touch your collarbone. Place your left hand analogously on the left side of your chest. Again, place your hands in this position in a relaxed manner and move your attention to your chest area. Feel your hands as they are placed there, and feel what is happening to your chest through the movement of your breath. With each breath wave, feel the gentle stretch in the chest area. After a few breaths in this posture, finish by placing your hands on the floor beside you and allowing your breath to flow freely in and out. Stay with your attention in your body. Try to perceive your body from the inside and feel into your breath waves. You can additionally consciously let your body sink deeper into the floor as you exhale and connect the desire and intention to take in fresh life energy and let it flow into your body with your inhale. Finally, take a few deep breaths in and out and stretch and lengthen your body. Another important differentiation of breathing is breathing through the nose or through the mouth. Air is usually taken in during the day and also at night through the nose. Only when the path through the nose is difficult for various reasons, the body chooses the path of least resistance, such as inhalation through the mouth. Whether we breathe through the mouth or the nose has very different effects on your organism. Depending on the gateway of the breath, it follows a different path through the human body and comes into contact with different nerves, is enriched with different substances, or cleansed of other substances. Of particular importance for relaxation techniques is the fact that nasal breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, especially the vagus nerve, while breathing through the mouth stimulates the sympathetic nervous system. Thus, breathing through the nose is relaxing by nature, while breathing through the mouth has an activating effect on our organism. Breathing through the nose also provides our body with a significantly better supply of vital oxygen. Scientific studies have shown a 10 to 15% higher oxygen saturation of the blood after nasal breathing compared to breathing through the mouth. This higher oxygen saturation results in a better oxygen supply to our organs, giving you more energy and allowing you to work better. When breathing through the nose, it is also easier to consciously direct the breath to different parts of the body. Exercise. Conscious nasal breathing. Sit or stand upright or lie relaxed on your back. Now, consciously breathe in through your nose for a long time and let the breath flow through your body. Then, exhale through your nose for a long time. Repeat this breathing as often as you like. By the way, you can use this breathing exercise like almost all breathing techniques at any time in everyday life. So you can always, especially in stressful situations, use this simple trick to put your body in a more relaxed state. Another breathing variation that has been proven to be excellent for stress reduction, focus, and also detoxification is the so-called alternate breathing. This breathing originates from yoga, where it is known as Anuloma Viloma, or also Nadi Shodhana, and gets its name from the simple fact that one breathes alternately through the right and left nostril. Alternate breathing is breathing alternately through the left and right nostril, which has many positive effects on our body and mind. Alternate breathing has a strong balancing and harmonizing effect. The right and left hemispheres of the brain are harmonized and better connected. This helps the life energy to flow better through the body and to find inner peace and strength. Exercise. The alternate breathing. Sit in a comfortable upright position. It is best if your spine is clear so that the breath can flow freely and unhindered through your upper body. Your left hand rests comfortably in your lap, and with your right hand you form a finger pose, alternately closing the two nostrils. The finger posture, originally called Vishnu Mudra, is quite simple. Open your right hand, bend your index and middle fingers, and rest the tip of the fingertips of these two fingers on the ball of your thumb. The ring and little fingers are close together, and you bring the ring finger closer to the thumb. Now, place your right hand on your nose so that you rest your thumb on the right nostril and your ring finger on the left, so that one nostril can be closed alternately. 1. Take a deep breath in and out. 2. Close the right nostril with the thumb of the right hand in Vishnu Mudra. 3. Breathe in slowly through the left nostril, counting internally to 4. 4. Now hold your breath while you slowly count to 16 internally. 5. Now close the left nostril with the ring finger of the right hand in Vishnu Mudra. 6. Breathe out through the right nostril while counting slowly to 8. 7. Inhale deeply again through the right nostril directly afterwards and count to 4. 8. Now hold your breath again while counting internally to 16. 9. Close the right nostril with the thumb of the right hand in Vishnu Mudra. 10. Breathe out through the left nostril again while counting to 8. 11. Continue breathing in this way for a few minutes. The seconds are an ideal value and serve as a guide. You do not have to adhere to them exactly, of course, and can adjust them according to your preferences and your abilities. The most important thing is the ratio of inhaling, exhaling, and holding your breath, for example, 1 to 4 to 2. So, for example, inhale for 2 seconds, hold your breath for 8 seconds, and exhale for 4 seconds. Over time, you will find that it becomes easier and easier to inhale and exhale for longer periods of time and also to hold your breath. Mindfulness training. Being mindful means being fully present to what we are doing and what we are feeling. However, exactly the opposite often happens because today's lifestyle tempts us to do several things at the same time, to want to accomplish more and more in a single day, and to always be 2 steps ahead in our thoughts. Being present in the current moment has thus become something you have to actively decide to do. In the meantime, we know from scientific research that a person thinks an average of 60,000 thoughts a day. In a year, that's 22 million thoughts. That is quite a lot, and just visualizing these numbers clearly shows us that it is a really big task for our minds to have all these thoughts every day anew and to follow them, depending on their importance, to analyze and evaluate them. The so-called stressful thoughts are basically just thoughts that arise in our mind and that we then evaluate ourselves as negative, for example, as threatening. So the evaluation is actually what triggers the stress in us, not the thought itself. Quote, "No thing is good or bad in itself, only our thinking makes it so." End quote. William Shakespeare. Mindfulness means being present in the present moment as opposed to automatically reeling off activities, thoughts, and sequences of actions, such as consciously experiencing the present moment. In relation to the perpetual stream of thoughts, this means a non-evaluation of these often automatically arising thoughts, but a simple acknowledgement without an identification with the individual thought contents. In theory, this sounds quite logical, and we can also think about this in heaps and evaluate them. In my experience, however, it is best to simply allow ourselves a conscious moment of mindfulness, because then we experience the concept of mindfulness not only with our thinking, but much more profoundly with our feelings and physical senses. As early as the 1970s, the American behavioral physician Jon Kabat-Zinn developed a method for learning the ability to be mindful in everyday life. This scientifically researched method, called mindfulness-based stress reduction, MBSR for short, has been proven to effectively reduce stress and support health. Many hundreds of thousands of people have already taken part in Kabat-Zinn's program, and not only in the USA, but worldwide, and also in Germany. His method is used, for example, in psychotherapy. What is special about Kabat-Zinn's method is the merging of millennia-old meditation wisdom with modern medicine, which views the human being as a whole. If you direct your attention inward into your body, that is, if you are mindful, and for example, if you are mindful of your breath, this signals to your body, in contrast to the fear mode in stressful situations, that you are safe, and that your body can accordingly carry out the counter-reaction to the fight and flight response, relaxation. The parasympathetic nervous system is activated. Thus, just by being mindfully present in your body, your breathing becomes even calmer and deeper, your heart rate and blood pressure are lowered, and the muscles are relaxed. Your entire organism is thus put into regeneration mode. With the help of mindfulness, you can examine your personal patterns of thinking and behavior, which are, after all, responsible for the fact that you evaluate situations in a certain way and feel stress accordingly. You can also learn to be mindful yourself in real stressful situations, which greatly reduce your stress response, which is usually automatic. Quote, "To be able to see the richness of the moment, we must develop the beginner's mind, that is, gain an inner attitude of openness, ready to see everything as if it were for the first time." End quote. Jon Kabat-Zinn. The comprehensive mindfulness program of Jon Kabat-Zinn, which is usually practiced in a course of 10 to 20 participants over 8 weeks, consists of 6 essential areas: a body scan, such as the attentive perception of all bodily sensations, a walking meditation, various mindful movement exercises, a sitting meditation, increased mindfulness in everyday life through special individual exercises, as well as a reflection on one's own behavioral patterns with the simultaneous establishment of helpful habits. At this point, we would like to pick out a few exercises from this program that can have an enormous effect on their own and give a foretaste of the effectiveness of the entire MBSR program. Exercise: the body scan. The basic exercise of the MBSR program, and at the same time a millennia-old meditation and relaxation technique, is the body scan, such as the change of perspective on our body from the outside to the inside. Starting with your toes, you let your attention wander step by step through your body from the inside and, so to speak, scan all areas of the body with a benevolent attitude from the inside out. The focus is on simply being attentive to what is there at the moment. No sensations are to be created. Procedure: lie down or sit down comfortably. If there is no other way in the respective situation, or if it is more comfortable for you, you can of course also perform the body scan while standing. In your chosen posture, make sure that you stand, sit, or lie comfortably as straight and relaxed as possible. Take a few deep breaths in and out and close your eyes. For once, consciously allow everything that you are bringing with you internally into this exercise to be there. Invite everything to be there and to participate. Now, consciously notice how your body touches the surface, or when standing, how your feet touch the floor, and feel your breath coming and going. Now, start with your right foot. Feel it from the inside and explore the sensations there. You may feel a tingling, a warmth, coolness or heaviness, something else or nothing. Everything you feel or not is welcome. Just notice it. Now, with this benevolent, curious attention, wander higher and transition internally to your right ankle. Then feel into the right lower leg and continue to move your attention to the right knee joint and hip. Also notice the sensations that are there and let them be there. Now move on to your left foot and explore it from the inside. What sensations can you feel in your left foot? Move your attention further into the left ankle, the lower leg, feel the knee joint, the thigh, and finally the left hip from the inside. Now notice your pelvis and pelvic floor and feel the back of your pelvis as it touches the support if you are sitting or lying down. Now feel your lower back from the inside. What can you perceive in your lower back? Wander your attention further up your back and explore the area between your shoulder blades. Now feel into your chest and abdominal area. You notice the lifting and lowering of the abdominal wall. Now rest in your body for a few breaths and enjoy your awake awareness. Now move your awareness further up and feel it into your shoulders. From there, feel your upper arms, your elbows, your forearms, your wrists, your hands, all the way down to your fingertips. Now expand your attention to your neck and nape and slip up into your face. Feel into your jaw, your tongue, and your lips. Feel the back of your head when lying down, touching the support, and move across your scalp to the top of your head, called the crown point. Stay here with your attention for a few breaths and expand the field of your awareness over the entire body. Notice your inner body, enjoy your inner body, notice what is there, and let it be there. Continue to breathe in and out calmly as often as you like. Finally, take a very deep breath, stretch your entire body, and open your eyes again. By specifically incorporating mindfulness, enhancement exercises into your practical daily life, you can enrich your everyday life. Plus, you'll notice how the increasing level of mindfulness you'll build through the various exercises will also make you much more relaxed and calm about the challenges of your everyday life overall. Make it a new habit, possibly also using aids such as small reminder notes at places that suit you or alarm clock settings in your cell phone. For example, to pause briefly once in a while in your everyday life, such as to step out of the respective situation with your concentration and focus on your breath. This allows you to interrupt the normally automatic reactions in your thinking, feeling, and acting, and to become aware of your current state of mind. Thus, you will be able to decide more and more consciously for a reaction or an action in these situations, instead of reacting more or less unconsciously, and even getting angry about your reaction afterwards. Exercise, pausing in everyday life. In a special, stressful situation, you specifically direct your focus inward for 3 to 5 breaths and feel your body from the inside. You can specifically shift your attention from the stimulus outside to, for example, your feet and the feeling of how they touch the ground. We all tend to rush from one activity straight into the next, even thinking and planning in advance of an activity exactly how we want to do the next activity or the one after that, and so on. What we want to avoid and what we want to achieve in the following exercise, you will consciously break this pattern and experience the transitions from one activity to the next quite deliberately. Exercise, consciously experience transitions in everyday life. In a transitional situation of your daily life, for example, when you return home from an activity, for example, your work or an errand, stop and observe yourself. What is the first thing you do? Here you now insert a small ritual that you choose yourself. To bring this transition in your daily life out of autopilot mode and into a consciously experienced activity, for example, you can do a very conscious greeting to any roommates you may have, or mindfully change your clothes. You can also consciously meditate for a few minutes, or do a breathing exercise. Pick a ritual that suits you and incorporate it into a transitional situation typical of your everyday life, and be curious about what changes for you as a result. Autogenic training. Autogenic training is a relaxation method that has been tried and tested for many years and was developed in 1932 by the German physician and physicist Johann H. Schultz. It is based on knowledge and techniques of self-hypnosis and aims at a learnable and trainable relaxation of body and mind by autosuggestions, such as targeted self-influences, which, after a learning and training phase, are applied and produced independently from within without external intervention. Overall today, we speak of two levels of autogenic training, which are used from stress reduction of healthy people to the therapy of neurosis, phobic disorders, or psychosomatic diseases. In the so-called basic level, also called the lower level, techniques are used that primarily address the autonomic nervous system and the organs. The main focus is on relaxation through activation of the parasympathetic nervous system via rest, gravity, warmth, and breathing formulas in a first step and special organ formulas for the abdomen, heart, and forehead, for example, in a second step. The so-called upper level of autogenic training is aimed at practitioners who are already familiar with the aforementioned relaxation formulas and have already learned to specifically put themselves in a relaxed state when needed. The exercises are supplemented by visual, imaginative, and meditative elements and are sometimes even designed and formulated individually for the practitioner. The goal is to help the practitioner to an expanded self-knowledge and to reprogram his subconscious in a very targeted way. Autogenic training is almost always effective from the first hour of practice and continues to gain effectiveness over time. All exercises begin with the so-called basic exercises in which a physical state of calm, heaviness, and warmth is established. As already mentioned, this is done through the power of auto-suggestion. You cause yourself, so to speak, to create these states in your body. This physical state then automatically puts your entire organism into a relaxation mode that can resemble a light trance state comparable to the moment before falling asleep. Your parasympathetic nervous system is now active. After the suggestion formulas for the three areas of calm, heaviness, and warmth, various organ formulas now follow in which the heart or pulse, the abdominal area, and the forehead are addressed. The goal of influencing these organs is also to put the body into a relaxed state through one's own instructions, for example through a steady pulse beat and a pleasantly cool forehead. If you have now gone through all these instructions in a concrete exercise of the autogenic training, you are in a light hypnosis and are thereby quite particularly receptive for further suggestions. You are now in a position to communicate directly with your subconscious or to influence it because in this trance-like state, conscious thought is linked with the subconscious knowledge of intuition in the deeper brain structures. For this purpose, the so-called offset formulas are used through which one can for oneself hypnotic instructions such as, "I am completely calm and relaxed." In order to return to the normal waking state after the induced deep relaxation, it is necessary after each autogenic training to perform a so-called withdrawal in which the individual relaxation reactions of the body are withdrawn again. The inventor of autogenic training, Professor Schultz, was of the opinion that everyone is able to learn autogenic training from the age of 4 and already feels an effective effect on their everyday life after 3 to 4 weeks of training. The following applies: the more regularly you practice, the sooner you will feel an effect. By the way, more frequent short exercises are usually more effective than infrequent longer repetitions. But of course, the principle also applies here that you look at yourself individually and check what works for you and feels good and right. In the following, the basic exercise of autogenic training is presented here to give you an insight into the process and mode of action of this relaxation method. Basically, it is easier for the beginning to have the exercises read to you in order to be able to concentrate fully on your own body. Later, the instructions are to be given silently by yourself. Very important for successful relaxation is also in this method a good, comfortable posture. You can choose from several traditional variants. The so-called coachman's posture promotes relaxation, since in this posture you do not have to tense a single muscle. To do this, sit loosely on the front part of a seat, for example a chair, and bend your shoulders and head slightly forward. Keep your hands relaxed on your thighs or tilt your entire upper body forward while supporting yourself with your elbows on your thighs, letting your hands hang down on the insides of your legs. Another posture is a sitting posture in, for example, an armchair, from where the posture gets its name, grandfather's recliner. Lean back comfortably in the recliner or armchair, let your legs point forward and stand with both feet on the floor. The third posture, which also usually is the most comfortable, is the lying position on the back. The arms lie relaxed next to the body, the legs are slightly spread, and the tips of the feet point slightly outward. Basic exercise, autogenic training. Simplified heavy heat exercise. Assume a relaxed posture of your choice and close your eyes. Now stretch your arms out in front of you, keeping your palms facing each other about 20 centimeters apart. Feel the space between your palms. Notice the warmth you can feel in that space. Now continue to imagine how your palms are attracted to each other. Go deeper and deeper into this imagination that your palms are attracted to each other like two magnets until you feel the energy field between your palms and notice that your hands are slowly moving towards each other. It is very important that you really take enough time and dwell without pressure or attachment in the imagination of the warmth and attraction between your palms. Feel what is happening. Once your palms have touched, lower your arms and rest them on your thighs in the sitting position, on the floor next to your body in the lying position. Now imagine your arms getting heavier and heavier. Imagine your arms becoming as heavy as lead and sinking into the pad. Imagine these heavy arms until you notice a pleasant heavy feeling in your arms. Feel this heaviness. Now let the heaviness move from your arms over your shoulders into your head, and from there into your whole body. Let the heaviness into your body and feel it spreading there. Feel your heavy body and enjoy this pleasant heavy state for several minutes as long as you like. While doing so, breathe deeply in and out and connect in your thoughts your breathing with the feeling that you are sliding even further and deeper into relaxation through your breath. Following this exercise, as with all autogenic training exercises, perform a retraction directly to return all of your body's functions to the waking state. Exception: if you wish to fall asleep directly after the exercise, a retraction is not necessary. Exercise: the retraction. Count backwards from 6 to 1 while imagining. 6. Your legs are free and mobile again. Heaviness and fatigue disappear. 5. Your abdomen is free again. Fatigue and heaviness disappear. 4. Your upper body is free again. Heaviness and fatigue disappear. 3. Your arms are free and mobile again. Heaviness and fatigue disappear. 2. Your head is free and fresh again. Tiredness and heaviness disappear. 1. Open your eyes and be fully present again in the here and now. Autogenic training is taught by many authors and trainers in various small steps by first training the basic gravity heat exercise described above and then subsequently practicing all further additions, first in individual exercises separately. These are suggestion exercises in the form of special formulations about rest, for example, I am completely calm. Breathing, for example, my breath flows calmly and evenly. The pulse, for example, my pulse is calm and even. Or the heart, for example, my heart space is open and wide. The abdomen, for example, a pleasant warmth spreads through the abdomen. And finally, the forehead, for example, my forehead is pleasantly cool. These exercises are usually first practiced individually and then used one after the other in an entire autogenic training sequence to bring the trainee into complete, deep relaxation. In combination with these relaxation formulas, a selected self-suggestion is then additionally used. For example, I am completely calm and feel good. Or also, I feel strong and healthy, which is placed between the relaxation formulas in the autogenic training. Important in all formulations in autogenic training is the simple formulation in the present tense. You are communicating with your subconscious mind, which is also called the child's conscious mind, because like most children, it is most likely to be able to implement clear and easily understandable statements. And our subconscious mind, therefore, understands and reacts best to short, simple, actual statements in autogenic training. For example, use the formula, I am completely calm, as opposed to, I will become completely calm, because your subconscious understands that you may become calm at some point, be it in 3 minutes or even in 3 years. Exercise. Overall exercise, autogenic training. You can pause for a few seconds between each set of suggestions. I am very calm and feel good. My arms are heavy and pleasantly warm. My arms are heavy and pleasantly warm. My arms are heavy and pleasantly warm. I am very calm and feel good. My legs are heavy and pleasantly warm. My legs are heavy and pleasantly warm. My legs are heavy and pleasantly warm. I am very calm and feel good. My whole body is heavy and pleasantly warm. My whole body is heavy and pleasantly warm. My whole body is heavy and pleasantly warm. I am very calm and feel good. My heart beats calmly and evenly. My heart beats calmly and evenly. My heart beats calmly and evenly. I am very calm and feel good. My solar plexus is warm. My solar plexus is warm. My solar plexus is warm. I am very calm and feel good. My belly is soft and pleasantly warm. My belly is soft and pleasantly warm. My belly is soft and pleasantly warm. I am very calm and feel good. My forehead is pleasantly cool. My forehead is pleasantly cool. My forehead is pleasantly cool. I am very calm and feel good. Finally, the retraction follows as described above. For an introduction to autogenic training, it is helpful if the suggestions are read aloud by a trainer or a sound recording, and the practitioner can focus completely on his body and the implementation of the suggestions. Of course, you can also record an autogenic training of your choice on a sound carrier yourself and play it back for your training. It is important that you speak slowly and leave a few seconds pause between each sentence. But again, of course, try out what feels best for you. By the way, for many practitioners, it is very helpful to start an autogenic training session with the small meditation or breathing exercise. Just try it out. Meditation. The term meditation, in Latin to ponder, to reflect, to find one's center, refers to various forms of mental exercises that have been part of many religions for thousands of years. In Buddhism in particular, meditation occupies a very important position because according to tradition, the historical Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, who lived in India around 500 BC, attained his enlightenment, such as the profound insights that led to him to liberation from all suffering through meditation. Meditation is essentially about exploring one's own consciousness. Quote, meditation is not about trying to get somewhere. It's about allowing ourselves to be exactly where we are and to be exactly as we are, and also allowing the world to be exactly as it is in this moment. End quote. Jon Kabat-Zinn. Consciousness here means the totality of our subjective experiences in the form of sensations, feelings, perceptions, thoughts, ideas, etc. This consciousness, which is to be explored in meditation, is the result of our biological, cultural, and individual development. And so, although it is something that controls us and that has matured in us, mostly unconsciously, ultimately we ourselves decide on the contents and activities of our consciousness. The extent of conscious decision varies depending upon the extent of personal awareness. In order to specifically train this awareness, meditation offers us an excellent opportunity by enabling us to perceive our physical and mental processes more and more clearly. In the meantime, there are a large number of studies, all of which show the positive effects that meditation can bring, including, for example, overcoming anxiety and panic disorders, depression, the reduction of pain sensitivity, the reduction of sleep problems, as well as the slowing of the aging process. Meditating is basically possible in any posture, very well known as the Taylor or lotus seat, as this was practiced by the Buddha, who was also an experienced yogi. For us people of the Western world, the seat is sometimes not so comfortable, so just see in which posture you can sit, squat, or even lie down well. It is important that the chosen posture can be taken by you over a long period of time without any problems and that you can remain attentive and awake. Today there are a variety of quite different meditation techniques which can be roughly divided into active and passive forms of meditation. The passive meditations are performed in silence in a quiet posture. This includes, for example, the so-called silence meditation, which is very well known in the West, where the focus is on absolute silence. In the active forms of meditation, a meditative posture is combined with various activities such as walking, dancing, painting, or even physical exercises. What all meditation techniques have in common is the special focus of consciousness on a chosen object of the mediator instead of the monkey mind, as it is called in the literature of Buddhism. This refers to the active, thinking mind that jumps from one thought to the next and to which we often give our full attention outside of meditation. In meditation, a superior attitude is adopted in which all processes of the mind are consciously perceived, but without automatically losing oneself in them. And so also the thinking of our mind is observed and registered in the meditation only as a process without giving it the full attention. Rather, it is even the case that during meditation, whenever you are carried away by your thoughts, as soon as you notice this, you gently bring yourself back into the observing role. Probably the most common obstacle to meditation practice is the fact that we usually only manage to keep our attention focused on one object for a very short time. Dealing with the obstacle of mental digression. We notice our digression and gently return to the meditation object. The more often you meditate, the longer will be the phases in which you do not digress. Therefore, it can be very helpful to set a duration for meditation, set it with the help of a timer, and stick to this chosen time. You can start with a few minutes at the beginning. In this way, you, or rather your mind, which will most likely become restless and want to digress in thoughts, will learn that there is also another possibility than to always follow the thoughts that arise. Namely, gently observing the thoughts that arise but without losing yourself in them and automatically letting them carry you away. In the beginning, it can be helpful to count your breaths internally during meditation, for example. This will keep your mind busy, but you will still be highly attentive and focused on a level above your thoughts. In addition, you will notice a mental drift more quickly through counting and can thus return to your meditation focus more quickly and consciously. A widespread method for beginning the practice of meditation is to combine breath and words in a meditation. This involves using meditation syllables in the rhythm of breathing. For example, Om. The sound Om comes from Sanskrit and is considered a symbol of the primordial sound of the universe. You can also use a word of your own choice, for example, to describe the quality you are realizing in meditation, such as peace or rest. Exercise. Combining breath and word. The Om meditation. Get into your chosen meditation posture and set the duration of the following meditation, for example, 5 minutes. Now breathe deeply in and out a few times and then begin to sound the syllable Om with the exhalation. You can either say this aloud, whisper it softly, or say it to yourself inwardly. Breathe in deeply again, and as you exhale, again sound the Om in the way you have chosen. Now continue to breathe and sound like this. This is the focus of your consciousness. Anything that arises in addition to this, you treat as described above. You perceive it and gently return to the inhaling and exhaling sounds of Om. Stay with it until the time you have chosen is over. In the very classical stillness meditation, also called silence meditation, you direct your focus solely on the stillness and your physical and mental reactions that you will experience in this stillness. Exercise the classic silence meditation. Get into your chosen meditation posture and set the duration of the following meditation, for example, 5 minutes. Take a few deep breaths in and out and focus on your breath. It is the anchor, so to speak, that brings you from the outside and the activities there into the stillness within. Now, breathe in deeply and notice the short silence after the inhalation. Now breathe out deeply again and notice the short silence after the exhalation. Now continue to breathe and fill in this way until the end of your meditation time. An important basic attitude of any meditation practice is the so-called purposelessness. We humans tend to make an intention, for example to meditate, to associate a goal with it, for example to feel better, more relaxed, more focused, etc., through meditation, and then to work more or less doggedly on this goal. For example, we then meditate very often and wait anxiously for the effect to occur. In the practice of meditation, it is precisely this ambitious and success-oriented attitude that is an obstacle. A meditation should always be unintentional. Try to approach meditation in a playful, light way and consciously decide to go through the process of meditation regardless of any results or obstacles that may arise. A meditation cannot be successful or failed at all. These evaluations do not exist in meditation practice. Enjoy meditation as a pure now time that you spend with yourself, all by yourself, as a gift to yourself. Give it a try. The effect of the environment, scents and colors. For thousands of years, people have known that fragrances have an important effect on the human organism. However, this knowledge has been forgotten for some time. In 1937, the French chemist René Maurice Gattefossé established the term aromatherapy, as the founder of which he counts. In a holistic sense, aromatherapy consists of the external, smelling or massage, and internal application, ingestion of fragrances or essences, respectively. Because when we speak of fragrances, we actually mean the essence, the concentrated fragrance of a plant, which is extracted by distillation from the flowers and leaves of the corresponding plants and then used as essential oil. Especially the internal application should be carried out in the company of an aromatherapist. The external application of fragrances can also be carried out very effectively with the help of aromatherapy, but with the right tips it is also very suitable for independent home use, especially for personal relaxation. Fragrances or essences have a holistic influence on our mental balance by directly affecting our brain and thus influencing the mental and physical processes in our body. When we consciously perceive a scent, such as smell it, the fragrances have reached our limbic system, such as the part of the brain with which we feel. There they cause the release of neurochemical substances through which they can evoke emotions, memories, or even physical reactions. You probably know the phenomenon that you perceive a smell from your childhood. For example, a freshly baked apple pie, and emotions from the respective situations of your childhood, for example, the visits to your grandma, are attached to it. Scents are therefore noticeably able to evoke emotions. Through various essential oils, we can wonderfully take advantage of this function of fragrances for our relaxation by choosing fragrances that release pain-relieving messengers and endorphins in our limbic system, thus brightening our mood and exerting a relaxing effect on our organism. For use at home, I recommend that you try different essential oils or mixtures from the trade to be determined which of them relax you personally best. You can easily bring the essential oils into your four walls via a fragrance lamp or a so-called aroma diffuser as a room fragrance and simply try them out on various occasions, also gladly in combination with other relaxation techniques. The essential oils are available, for example, in health food stores or online mail order companies. Important for the optimal effect is a pure form of the essences without unnecessary additives. By the way, we also absorb various essential oils in our everyday life, partly quite unconsciously. For example, when smelling flower petals or using spices in food, the following essences have been proven to have a very good relaxing effect. As always, however, the following applies. Try it out for yourself and decide on the scents that appeal to you the most. The relaxing scent at all is lavender. Lavender oil contains linalool and has a calming effect on our organism by increasing the release of melatonin, the so-called sleep hormone, that humans normally secrete in the dark and during sleep. In addition, the scent of lavender stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system, which automatically leads to relaxation reactions in the body. Other fragrances that have been proven to have a relaxing effect: chamomile, tangerine, ylang ylang, melissa, and bergamot. Just as fragrances have an influence on the way our brain works, color stimuli that we perceive also exert an influence on how we feel. Color is not a property of an object, but merely a sensory impression that occurs when light hits the retina. The light reflected from a flower, for example, is transmitted through the lens of the human eye to the retina and causes receptors, such as special sensors on the retina, to produce a nerve excitation, which is then transmitted to the brain. This creates an impression of color in our brain, which then affects our overall well-being in various ways. On the one hand, a color evokes an association. For example, red equals fire. That is an idea or memory. Likewise, the sight of a color can also evoke feelings. For example, red equals danger. These associations are partly individually shaped by our experiences. However, colors also trigger automatic unconscious reactions and associations that are innate and basically the same in all people. Of course, you can now take advantage of these effects of colors for your personal relaxation by specifically surrounding yourself with the appropriate colors. Different colors are said to have special effects on the human organism. Red has a stimulating, performance-enhancing effect. Orange promotes joy, creativity, and self-confidence. Yellow has an activating effect on the mind and dispels fatigue and gloomy mood, inhibits feelings of anxiety. Green promotes inner harmony, health, and helps relaxation and inner well-being. Blue supports relaxation, good sleep, and helps relieve anxiety. In color therapy, various methods are used: irradiation with colored light, wearing colored clothing, placing colors in the home, or even eating food in the required colors. Likewise, the imaginative use of colors, for example in color meditations, such as imagining a color with closed eyes as a meditation object, also has a clearly noticeable effect on many people. Feel free to experiment with different colors and methods and see what you like and what suits you and your needs. The power of intention. You have now made an introduction to the topic of relaxation techniques. Know what stress actually does to the human body, know your own stress traps, and have had a taste of a few relaxation methods. I hope you have found one or even more methods that feel really good to you and now have the desire and motivation to further deepen this relaxation practice. It is important to regularly incorporate small relaxation sessions, in line with your personal needs, into your everyday life. This usually has a more effective and lasting effect than holding out and persevering in stress mode for a long time, which is then to be compensated for with a longer relaxation session. Very important when practicing is an open, positive, basic attitude and permission, possibly paired with a clear intention that you can give yourself on the path of your relaxation. Intention here does not mean a goal in the classical sense, but rather a loving focus that you consciously adopt and with which you enter into your practice. For example, in the following meditation, I allow myself to remain completely with my consciousness in order to release my mind from the tensions of the previous day. Give yourself your consent to allow all the reactions of your body and mind, the so-called positive ones, and also the negative ones in the relaxation time that follows for you. Allow yourself to simply enjoy your time with yourself in the process. With the help of your clear personal consent and a related intention that you associate with your chosen exercises, it will be easier for you to focus your awareness on the desired effects and be open to what is happening. But be careful. Do not fall into the trap of aiming at a goal and working towards it, so to speak. As we know, this stands in the way of relaxation. Instead, kindly and lovingly invite yourself to relax now with the help of your chosen method, to focus, to get more clarity, or whatever intention you would like to formulate for yourself. Invite yourself to enjoy and allow the positive effects on your organism, and also allow yourself not to have to practice perfectly or flawlessly in any way. As is well known, this is neither possible nor necessary, especially with relaxation techniques. However, it can be very helpful to make this very clear to yourself before each practice, so that you do not automatically work through your relaxation exercise like your other daily to-dos in the classical sense. If before starting the relaxation exercises you do not feel any desire or motivation to start, and you hear your inner voice saying something like, "No, today I just can't do it. I have no time and no peace for a relaxation exercise," or "That doesn't work for me anyway. I just can't sit still," or even "I can't relax until I've done everything else," or whatever else may come up, use these inner objections directly in the sense of meditatively dealing with obstacles. Listen to what the inner voice is telling you, let it be there, observe yourself with these thoughts, and do it anyway. Perhaps even invite your inner voice, also known to many as the inner pig or inner critic, to simply join in. Do not suppress it, be mild and loving, and do it anyway. Quote, "Always remember that there is only one important time, today, here, now." End quote. Leo Tolstoy.